I remember I had an aunt who got married when she was very late. Like she got married in her late 30s. She got married in her late 30s. And I remember the Skalena Rebbe. The Skalena Rebbe was here in Toronto. This goes back probably 25 years ago. I remember he was staying by Fyvie Heller's house. And I have a distinct memory of that visit because the whole city was in Fyvie Heller's house that those couple of days to come see the Skalena Rebbe. And like the week before, we were working in his attic and one of our guys fell through the ceiling. So right in the front where everyone walked in, the ceiling was open. And one of Fyvie's kids took a Bristol board and they put up a big sign up there, compliments of Premier. Yeah. So I remember that. Anyway, he was a jokester. So anyway, when I went to the Skalena Rebbe, so it was like right after Sukkot, the Skalena Rebbe came. And he said, the Yeshua is here already. Well, you can't see it because it's still dark. But Hanukkah comes, it'll be lit, the guys, you'll be able to see it. And my aunt got engaged that Hanukkah. That was pretty impressive. Okay, so let's see what it says in the Halakha Gemara. Shalosh, Tiny Yosy, Rishonos, Anshe Mishmar, Misanin, V'loy Mashliim. Tanu Rabbanon. Mipnei Ma Omru, why did we say that Anshe Mishmar, Mutarin Lishtos Yayin Baleilos, people of the Mishmar, meaning they're on duty that week but not that day, are allowed to drink wine at night? Avaloi b'yamim, but they're not allowed to drink wine during the day, even though they're not on duty right now. And the answer is, Shema tichbat ha'avoid al anshe beisav. Maybe there'll be a lot of karbanos brought that day, and there'll be too much work, and the people who are stationed that day to work won't be able to complete the work, and they'll need reinforcement troops. And they're going to be called to help. So they have to remain without drinking because a kohen is not allowed to do avodah after he's drank. Why did we say that the people who are actually on duty that day, they're not allowed to do avodah, sign not by day, sign not by night? And Rashi learns this means the night after, because they're always busy with the avodah, even at night, they're being maked the chalavim and the ivarim from the day before. The Rambam actually learns that it's the people who are going to be doing the avodah tomorrow who may not drink tonight because they have to be ready for tomorrow morning. Zok to Gemara, Mikan Amru, Kol Koyin Shemaker Mishmarta, and this is where it gets a little bit uncomfortable for Kaihanim today. Mikan Amru, and let's see what Rashi says. Mikan Amru de Katani Hacha, Ta'afilu Anshe Mishmar, Shalahayu Oivdim Ba'isa Yom Klal. It's not only Kaihanim that are actively doing avodah. Even if you're not doing avodah, you're not on call now. You're on call, but you're not doing avodah. Why? In anticipation of something that might change, the reality, the situation might change, and I will be required. My services will be required because of that. I can't drink. So not only can't I not drink when I'm actually doing avodah, when I'm actively doing avodah, I'm not either allowed to drink when there's a possibility that I might be needed and I might be called up to do the avodah. If that's the case, any kohen, even bisman hazeh, where we don't have a Beis Hamikdash, shemaka mishmartai, who happens to know what his mishmar is, umishmeres bes avshaloi, and he even knows which day he's going to be doing avodah when the Beis Hamikdash returns. And he knows that the batay avos are kavuin sham, and Rashi has two pshatim. Either he knows his yichus is good, there's no halalim, or he knows they're there. Rashi will elaborate. Ashter listos yain kaloisa yain. But the day that he knows he would be doing the avodah, that day he's not allowed to drink wine, even bisman hazeh. Zok Rashi, hamakem mishmartoi, hayodeya me'ezeh mishmeresu. He knows which mishmar he's from, which would narrow him down to a week. Either miyahayariv or miyadya or achas michafdal mishmaris, one of the 24 mishmaris. If it's 24 mishmaris and it's 12 months, so it's a 2-week mishmar, yes. He has a very clear and accurate yichus brief that tells him exactly which mishpacha of the kahuna he comes from, and he knows which week he was doing the avodah and which day of the week, morning. So it means he knows exactly where it was. And the idea shabbatay avodah of kavuin. And here Rashi says kavuin means sheyadei vadai shebeis avshaloi ovid b'mikdash. He knew for sure they worked in the base of Mikdash. There were a lot of Batei Avos that did not get a slot to do Avodah. I didn't know that. So Rashi is telling us that even if you were a Kohen, not every family had a slot. Rashi is a second shot. Shuv Amrli, Rabbi, that Kavuan means Shaloi Nischal Beis Ab Shaloi Liyos Megul Makuna. He also knows that nothing occurred since the good old days that would have excluded his family from Kahuna. He knows for sure they're roy for Avodah. That's right. That's right. It's funny that you say that. It's funny that you say that because the Shilas could his family become a chulo. Maybe one of his ancestors married somebody who wasn't allowed to under mechulo. So that's also an option. So the Gemara. So Rashi says weiter. But Vesula, only that day. Shemi Yibana Beis Hamikdash. The Beis Hamikdash could be rebuilt. B'tich bar ha'avoda, and there'll be Vesulai. Why? Because we only are worried for his day. But with Rashi, we're not worried. Shemi Yibana Beis Hamikdash b'tich bar ha'avoda b'yizet tzarech lavud. If he knows the day that he would have to do work, we're not choshet. Oh, if the Beis Hamikdash will be built, we'll need all hands on deck, and everybody will be needed. So therefore, he can't drink any day. That you don't say. So far, it's not so bad. It's not so bad because it's only one day a year. But it gets better. But it gets better. What if he knows his mishmar? And he just knows which week, but he doesn't know which day. He doesn't know which day of the week. He knows that his family still has a day. He just doesn't know which day. Then Asar Kaloisa Shabbos mistake. Then he cannot drink the entire week. In all of the examples the Gemara is going to give now, we always need to know Shabbat Avodah Kavunin, otherwise you're not doing Avodah anymore. If he doesn't know that his family can do Avodah, then he would be able to drink all year. You don't have to worry about such a situation.
Maybe we can say that there should be a Baal B'tochen, the guy should should be a Baal B'tochen. And if he's a Baal B'tochen, then the Beis Mikdash is going to be built by our efforts and not by the Meshachar. And that means that it's going to take more than just a day to build a building like that.
I hear.
So he'll know.
I hear. But Paisach we rechosh it. So Zok Gemara. So B'vein Ma'akar B'Shmar B'Sab Shaloi. Shabbos, but it gets better. But if any makam mishmartoi, if he doesn't know which week his family would be serving, but he does know that he will be serving 1 week, and you're not allowed to drink at all. So a kohen who knows that he's a miyuchas and he knows that his family did avodah, he may not drink at all. So I'm not sure if it's kedai to be mafarish from this. Because it could be a gzerish ain't right vatzibur yachal lamoid. Rabbi Omer, but Rabbi comes to the rescue. Omer ani asher lishtas yain loylam. Be'etzem ikar din, it's asher for any kohen ever to drink wine. Period. And Rashi says, "Kloimer ichashina and l'shemi yibanu asher loylam." Even if you know what day you are, it would still be asher to drink wine the whole year. How do you know they're not going to change things around when Mashiach comes and they build a Beis Hamikdash? Who said they're going to stick to the same system? And maybe by the Chanukah Sabayis, everyone's going to be involved. When this fellow will have to do avodah. So let's finish off what Rabbi said in the Gemara. What can I do to enforce such a thing that Kohanim shouldn't drink? Shetakanasai kalkalta. And Chaim Tzvi asks, why don't we have b'tochen? But let's see what Rashi says about shetakanasai kalkalta. Avoma esa shetakanasai kalkalta. To have a kamashonim shalichazer beer. Lamaisa, we're waiting all these years. Mashiach hasn't come yet. When we don't have the Beis Hamikdash, the kalkalazu takanasai lishashai behedja. Since it's so many years that we don't have the Beis Hamikdash, we don't live our lives today based on the Beis Hamikdash could become right now, and therefore the Kohanim can't drink. So we let the Kohanim
worried about Tuma for a Kohen.
Oh, that's a beautiful, beautiful kasha. Tosfos asked that kasha. It's a beautiful kasha, and we'll learn Tosfos inside. Beautiful kasha. What about Tuma? Forget drinking. I could sober up in 2 hours. But Tuma, I need Hazah Shlishi Shvi. So anyway, there's a week delay. Beautiful kasha. Oh, there's another shot.
Who said that 2.5 students to be English?
You can't do avoid if you're tummy.
But a kohen is still not allowed to be tummy, whether you make the avoid or not.
Well, the whole reason why I can't drink is because to prevent a kohen is allowed to be drunk. He's not allowed to avoid doing this.
Right, but I'm saying that a kohen is not allowed to become tummy,
Correct.
even though he's not going to work.
That's true. That's
So
true.
that's not requested for tummy with a kohen.
He's asking what once a guy's tummy, why can't he drink? By the time he gets tar, he'll be sober.
That's completely
Yeah.
That's long. Yeah.
So the other Rishonim learn not like Rashi. They learn it's exerish in Rebbe Tibi Yachalamid. How could indefinitely we make a xer that Kohanim could never drink? So Rebbe saves all the Kohanim. So all the Kohanim who like drinking should know that they hold like Rebbe.
I find that Rashi fascinating when people tell me why you build a house or this or that, aren't you patient for Mashiach? Take a look at Rashi.
Omar Abai, Kaman Shaso Idna Kani Chamer. When you go to a Kiddush and you see Kohanim enjoying the wine and the whiskey, how are they allowed to do that? Rebbe, it's because they hold like Rebbe. Gewaltig. Zokti more Abai. Anche Mishmar. Duvi, I didn't forget your kasha. Taisus is an Amid base. So when we turn over, we'll learn that Taisus, who asks, what about Tumas Mace? Okay, Zok to Gemara. I think it's an Amid base. Let me make sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's an Amid base. Okay, Zok to Gemara Vait. Anshe Mishmar, the Anshe Maimid, Asurim Lasaper Ulachabes. They're not allowed to take haircuts during their week or wash their clothing, but Chamishi on Thursday mutar nefnei Shabbos. My timer. Why can't they take haircuts during the week of their mishmar? Amar Rabba Bar Chanan Rabbi Yochanan kidei shelo yikantu lemishmartam kishehen menuvalim. It's the same reason why you have to take a haircut before Yom Tov and you have to cut your nails before Yom Tov. Because if you were allowed to during that week, people say, well, that week I'm not working anyway. I'm going to be on standby. That's a perfect time to schedule my haircut. And then when they come in to do the avodah the first day, they'll come without a fresh haircut. Melach mistaper b'chol yer. A king has to take a haircut every single day. A Kohen Gadol has to take a haircut from Erev Shabbos to Erev Shabbos. And Kohen Hedyot is achas l'shloshim yoyim. A Kohen Hedyot has to take a haircut every 30 days. Melech mistaper b'chol yoyim. My time Amar Abba Amar Bar Zabda Amar Kra, which is Melech b'yofyoy techazena einecha. Whenever you behold the king, he has to look perfect. So therefore, he always needs to have a fresh haircut. Kohen Gadol Erev Shabbos Erev Shabbos. My time Amar Shmuel Bar Yitzchak. Hoil u'mishmaris mischachois bahen. Since every week a new mishmar comes, we want to make sure that the Kohen Gadol greets them with a fresh haircut. You should look perfect. Kohen Hedyot achas l'shashim yoyim minalam asya pera minos. We learn the word pera from Nazir. Ksiv hacha, when it comes to the Kohanim v'roshim lo yigalechu upera lo yishlechu. Let me make sure. Lo yishalechu upera lo yishalechu u'ksiv hasam, and it says regarding a Nazir kadosh yeh gadel pera sarosh malalon shloshim. Just like a Nazir, his pera is 30 days of growth. Afkan shloshim, so too here, when we say that the Kohen should not have the pera lo yishalechu, he shouldn't have 30 days of growth. Okay, let's stop and see Rashi. Zokt the Heilige Rashi, mistaber b'chol yoyim, a king gets a haircut. I'm sorry, let's go back one. Kashem menuvalim shelo yusaimchin al yoyim echad mimei Shabbos. He shouldn't rely on one of the days of his week. They mistaber b'Shabbos over, and therefore they won't take a haircut the week before. Mistaber b'chol yoyim, it's a mitzvah. So it seems like it's not a chiyuv, but it's a mitzvah. Erev Shabbos is the Kohen Gadol. The Kohen Gadol shouldn't wait longer than a week, because mishmaris mischachos b'chol Shabbos b'Shabbos u'mishmaras shelo aswad achshav. A mishmar who hadn't seen the Kohen Gadol u'ba l'roisai, and he's seeing now the Kohen Gadol for the first time when they come to the mishmar. Hadavar na shetereyu b'yok. It's appropriate that you see the Kohen Gadol looking in his prime. Lo yilir buklal, which is vital. So Zok Gemara, how do we know that by a Nazir it's 30 days? The Nazir Gufei, Minolan. How do we know that a Nazir is 30 days? Amr Rav Masna, Stam Nazir, Shloshim Yoim. Minolan, Amr Kra Yiyeh. It says in the puzzle, Kol Yimei Neder Nizir Tar L'Yav Al Roshai Ad Melosh Hayom Asher Yazer L'Hashem Kodesh Yiyeh Gadel Peres HaRoshai. Yiyeh is B'Gematria Tlosen Happen. Because Yiyeh has 2 Yud, which is 20, and 2 Hayes, which is 10. Amalei Rav Papa Abaye. V'Dil Mahari Kama. How do you know when the pasuk is addressing a kohen and it says "Upera lo yishalechu"? How do you know it means that he has to take a haircut every 30 days? Maybe maybe "Upera lo yishalechu" means don't even let it get to 30 days. He should take a haircut every day. Amar lei, Abai answered, "I have a cause of lo yishalechu pera." If it would have said lo yishalechu first and then pera, then I would have agreed kitika amrit that you shouldn't even let it grow for 30 days worth. But it means you can have a para, but you shouldn't send it further. Para lahava shaluchuhu. Don't let it get more than the para. Zokt Rashi. Maybe a kohen head should also need to take a haircut every day. We shouldn't even get there. Up to 30 that they have, they can't let it go further. Frag the Gemara, if that's the case, we said Lagabe drinking, Kohen can't drink now because they might need to do the avodah, so the haircuts as well. Afilo idnami, they should have to take haircuts regularly, once a week, because maybe the Beis Hamikdash will be built. Dumi deshesu yayin. So Gemara, dumi deshesu yayin. Ma shesu yayin bizman biyahu the aser. Shaloi bizman biyashal. Just like shesu yayin, only when they have to go to avodah is it aser for them to drink. So too, when it comes to haircuts, only if they're doing avodah is there a need for them to take haircuts. When you're not doing avodah, they don't need to take haircuts. Zokt Rashi, Ihachi. Even the Mikra Mafkasla, since you're learning it from a pasuk that they have to take haircuts, so nowadays as well, they shouldn't be able to grow their hair longer than 30 days. In that same pasuk, it compares the halacha of wine that a kohen may not drink to the halacha that the kohen has to take regular haircuts. Mayayim is man bihu the also the chsiv b'voyim alachotzer. Dafke bisman shabeis hamikdash kayim shaboy sham lavai. But shalei bisman bihu kohen idna nowadays shabai is choyev. But lois man bihu they wouldn't need to take these regular haircuts. Break the Gemara. But Tanya we learned Rabbi Yomer Aymar ni kayanim asurim l'shashayin loylam aval ma'es should take a dose of chakolosai. But the Rabbanan argue. So what are you going to do according to the Rabbanan? Who says we pass like Rabbi? According to the Rabbanan, maybe they'll also take regular haircuts and won't be able to drink. V'amar Abaye, Kaman Shaso Idna Kayhani Chamra, Rabbi. But the Rabbanan would argue. Let's see Rashi. Everyone turned over, but I just want to learn the bottom Rashi. But Tanya Rabbi Omer V'amar Abaye Mechlal the Rabbanan Asri. The Rabbanan argue on Rabbi, and they hold that a kohen may not drink wine, and they hold that a kohen must take regular haircuts. We could have also asked from the Reisha de Brayso, but from that Amr Anshe Mishmar. So we're just trying to bring out. Sure, Rebbe says that they could drink wine, but the Rabbanan say they cannot. Zok to Gemara, Mechlal the Rabbanan Asri. My time. Why do the Rabbanan argue? Is Mishum Heira Yibana Beis Hamikdash. Bez Hashem, the Beis Hamikdash will be rebuilt speedily in our days. And we're going to need a kohen, and we're not going to have one. Zakta Gemara, there's a very big difference. Hacha Efsher, the Mesaper Bayil. What's the big deal? If a guy's drinking, there might be a delay in him sobering up. But a haircut, what does it take? 5 minutes to take a haircut? He can take a haircut in 5-10 minutes, and then he's ready to do the avodah. I hear. After the Gani Porta, he could take a little nap, but and then he'll be sobered up. Could the Rabbi Barabba gave us how to get over your hangover, gave us information on how to get out of your hangover. Rabbi Barabba, derech mil, if you walk for a meal or vishina koshu or a little bit of sleep, mafikin is a yayin, will get rid of your wine, will sober you up. So to Gemara, that doesn't make it, that doesn't help. Lav me itmer Allah, Amar Abnachman, Amar Rabba Barabua, loy shanu elakishasas revias. When there's a little sleep or a little walk, help, that should be drank a revias. But if you drank more than a revias, Walking will make him more sicker. So the question is, according to the Rabbanon, you're not allowed to drink. So we have a good explanation why a haircut you could still take. It's not a problem, but the problem is for wine there's still a problem.
Question to me is, these makes you drunk. That's pretty interesting. What's the sheer getting drunk in a DUI?
The DUI is blood alcohol.
More than one drink an hour. More than one drink an hour?
So let's see what the Tosha says about Duvi's kasha. So the second kasha on Toshas, but the second Tosha on the top of the oven on you died in the base. But Inon Kaihanim Aruim Lavoid of Lekach and Pemerfrek Toshas. Baloy Bala Yayin Nami Yasurim Bavoida that May Mason Minu, Utrichen Azal Gimel Vazayin. Why are we worried about the wine that's only keeping him drunk for a couple of hours? They're stuck for 7 days. If everyone's tummy, then the kohen can do avodah right away. Yeah, he can't bring karbanos yachid, but he can bring karbanos tibur. But if he's drunk, he can't bring karbanos tibur. So therefore, we need to make sure that he'll be ready because there are avodas that he can surely do even when he's tummy. Zok tahil gemara bait. Rav Ashi said, let's see, we have time. Who else will see Rashi? Zok to Rashi, Umashani, my time v'hacha. My time is terutzu. My time is a teretz. We're making a distinction between haircuts, which you can do right away, and sobering up, which could take longer. Claimer, the time of my gazer abundant b'yayin shema yibana is by wine because there'll be a delay. You have to sober up. You can take a quick haircut. Okay. If you drank too much, sleeping will make it worse. But there is this difference. Dr. Gemara. So what is the difference? Dr. Gemara, Shisuya Yayin. Rabashi makes another difference. Shisuya Yayin, the Machli Avodah. If you're drinking, which is going to be Machal Avodah. So the first difference the Gemara said is wine is worse because if you drank a lot, it's going to take you a long time to sober up, a lot more time than it would take to get a haircut. Rabashi wants to say drinking is worse. You know why? Because if a kohen does avodah when he's drunk, it's Machal Avodah, it passes Avodah. Goju Barabban. Pura Rosh, sure you have to take a haircut, but the Lemachla Avodah, if a kohen did a avodah without a fresh haircut, Loy Goju Rabbanon, it would not pass the avodah. Therefore, the Rabbanon were in Goju that everybody needs to take haircuts. So the Rabbanon holds kohanim are not allowed to drink, but they don't have to take haircuts once a week. Shisuy Yain the Machla Avodah. Dr. Rashi Dichsev Yain v'Shecher al Teish. The Samach Lein right after that it says well the Havdil bein HaKodesh and bein HaChoyel. And we darshan bein avodah kedusha l'muchalalas. The avodah avodah shesuya yain chilel. If one does avodah when he is drank, I didn't say when he's drunk. When he has drank. The reason why I say that is because what if he drank revis, but he's not drunk, but his avodah is still possible. But perurei roish, the like sibei chilel, like nira chilel. There is no chilel. It's not a chal avodah. Therefore, the Rabbanan didn't prohibit or didn't force him to take regular haircuts even nowadays. The Elohein Shabamisa. The following violations are mechayiv a kohen misa. Zokt Rashi. The Elo Shabamisa b'dei shemayim. The Maseches Sanhedrin be'elah hanesva. Shesuya yayin. The misa. A kohen who does avodah with wine after have drank wine, that is, he's chayiv misa b'dei shemayim. Dechsev yayin v'shecher al teisht v'vayachem el oil moyed v'loy samusu. So you see, if you do it, there will be a samus. Midaleksev yumas. When it says yumas, that's b'dei adam, but the samusu is just b'dei shemayim. The Gemara says as follows. So Gemara, I understand why Shusuya Yain is Chayiv Misa. Like we quoted, Yain v'Shecher al Teish, and it says v'loy samus. A kohen who does avodah with long hair, minalon. How do you know that there's a chiv misa? Yechsiv zok the Gemara v'roisham lo yigalechu uper lo yishalechu uchsiv basrei, and right after that in the same pasuk it says v'yayin lo yishtu kol kohen v'voyim al chatzar apnimis. So you see the Torah lumps together the halacha of not drinking with the halacha of taking haircuts, and therefore there's a hekesh. The iskish purei rosh b'shasuya yayin, ma shasuya yayin b'misa, af purei rosh b'misa. So why don't you learn another halacha? We just said that someone who does avodah without having a fresh haircut is not machal avodah. But if you learn from shisuya yayin to purei rosh, look at the misa b'deshamayim, why don't you also learn the other halacha that it's machal avodah? That's more like ishkis lo misu de ishkis avalachul avodah lo ishkis. It wasn't, the hekesh is not for that. Let's see Rashi. There are some people who are kosher, and the Gemara doesn't answer it, and takes out the last line that we have in brackets. But there are those who learn that we have a teretz to it, and that is that the hekesh is only for misa, but not for mechal. But we didn't learn it. We didn't learn it to be mechal d'avodah. So you see now there's already halacha l'moshe Messinai involved, right? Kigamiri, Rashi sticks that in, Kigamiri. I don't see that in our Gemara itself. So let's see what the Gemara says over here. So there's a halacha l'moshe Messinai that's telling us that there's a halacha l'moshe Messinai that's telling us that there's a chi of misa for shisui yain and not per rosh. So the Mefarshim asks, what's the difference between a chi of misa that's either way, it's a misa b'dei shemayim. What's the difference if it's learned from a pasuk, it says v'loisa musu, or if it's a halacha l'moshe Messinai? The nafkamina is if you say kamalei b'derabim. The halacha is if someone doesn't act that is simultaneously being mechayev him with misa and being mechayev him with mammon, the chi of misa trumps everything, and there's no chi of mammon. That only works if the chi of misa is written in the Torah. So if somebody did avodah while he had drunk, and simultaneously he did something that would be mechayev him money, he was mazak somebody, so he's potter because of kamalei b'derabim. He's potter. His estate's potter to pay. However, if he did avodah with long hair, and he also at the same time was mechuyev mammon, there he'd have to do both. You have to pay both. You don't say kamalei b'derabim if it's just a halacha l'moshe Messinai.
Where do we find such a thing as chayiv misa that's not written in the Torah that we apply? I think that's unprecedented. I don't recall another case like
the
this.
halacha l'moshe Messinai about a chayiv misa.
Yes.
Well, it's marumas in the Torah, it's a hekesh, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know where there would be other examples of that. Well, maybe I still have time. Maybe I'll learn in the next couple of months.
What does it mean long hair? Long hair that you didn't take a haircut for a week, or long hair that you didn't take a haircut for a
I think 30 days. For Kohen Head, it's 30 days. For Kohen Gadol, it's 1 week. Yeah. Okay, so let's see the Gemara weiter. Zok to Gemara weiter. Amalei Ravina Ravashi. Ha, Bekama da Asa Yecheskel, Man Amr. You are bringing these psukim from Yecheskel to tell you that it's machal avodah, or to tell you that there's a chiv misa. Before Yecheskel came, how did we know it from? Amalei Lutameich. Ha, Damar Pchista, Davar Zemi Teres Moshe Eloi Lamadu. We did Kabbalah Lamadu. And what halacha are we referring to? It says Kol Benecher or Alev or Al Basar Lo Yavi Al Mikdash Sheni. That an Benecher and or Alev can't come into the Beis Hamikdash. Ha Makama Dasi Yecheskel Ma'amar. Where did we know this before Yecheskel? El Gemara Gamerla. It's halacha l'moshe Messinai. Basa Yecheskel Basmacha Kra. Hachanami Gemara Gamerla. These are all halacha l'moshe Messinai. What when there's a chiyuv, when there's an iser, with Purirosh, with Shirayin, Basa Yecheskel Va'asmacha Akra. And Kigimiri halacha l'misa lachuli avodah l'gimir. So this is all from the halacha l'moshe Messinai. Gewaltig. Let me just think a second. Okay, let's see the Gemara weiter. So halacha l'maisa.
I have a recollection. I don't know from where that. You cannot apply a chiv misa from a drasha.
You're talking about a chiv misa b'dei adam or a chiv misa b'dei shamayim?
Okay, why,
We're talking about Misa B'dei Shemayim here.
You're gonna make a total, you don't.
Eight Masir Min Adin.
me,
Eight Masir Min Adin. You can't give Malchus or Einchin from a Kal V'chomer.
so, okay, so
Logic is
that,
wrong. The logic is wrong. You got a problem.
so you can't say that again? Yeah, I
Ain't
think that's
Einchin Min
what,
Adin.
right. So why wouldn't that apply here?
This is a Misa B'dei Shemayim, so it's not an issue of Einchin.
This is.
It's Allah Chol Moshe Messina.
That Yehezkel.
But don't you think there's gotta be some kind of, leisase or some hasra or something?
Yeah, it does say, there is a logic, it does say that he's not allowed to do avoida when he should see yain or pre-roish. That it does say in the fairs.
That
It
it's
just
a
doesn't
chi of
discuss the Einchin.
misa, that it's a chi of misa, it's a big fetish.
No, that it doesn't say. There's no chi, the chi of Misa doesn't say.
Right, so there has to be some sort of a hasra that is mechuyev misa, even, bidei adam, kal v'chaimer, bidei shamayim. Anyway,
No.
just something doesn't sit right with me with regard to that.
Your mind's not there.
The mind is not there, and it has to be there in terms of whatever you do in this program. It was even before we said, why do they have to cut their hair? Because in terms of their presentation and reading the Mishnah.
Well, that's a Kohen Gadol. The Kohen Hedjit, it's just because he has to have a presentation, he has to look good.
The whole reason there is to present
Right.
a dignified
Right.
presentation for the Brunson. So in one case, it's an actual.
So you're saying a svara why the Rebbeinu Shalom would have given a chiv, would have been mechal d'avodah here or not there. They're both chayiv misa. But why one would be mechal and why one wouldn't? Yeah.
Disgusting, but not dignified before
I hear.
the brunch.
It's a good svar. It's a good svar. Okay, so let's see the Gemara right. Kol akasav the Megillas Taanis the loyla mispad. Any days that the Megillas Taanis says that are such big yomim tovim that you're not even allowed to give a hesped on those days. Never mind, you can't fast, but you can't even give a hesped. Lefan of Aser, even the day before, you're not allowed to give a hesped. But to the achra of mutter, the day after, you could give a hesped. And Rashi told us on the Mishnah, it's because we want to make sure you don't forget. So the day before, we already start easing into the takana. But once the day passed, the day after, there's no reason to extend the takana, not to do a hesped. Taner Rabbanan, Ilan Yirmaya, the loylis ha'anabahan. These are days that one should not fast. Umiktsasain, and some of them, the loyla mispad, you're not even allowed to give a hesped. So this is the introduction to the Megillas Taanis. From Reish Chodesh Nisan Vatamanya Bay until the 8th day inclusive, Isukim Tamido. That was the day that there was a big argument between the Talmidei Chachamim and the Baitusim, and the Baitusim said that even a Yochid could bring the Karban Tabit. It doesn't have to be brought from the Tzibur. And the establishment said no, Dafka Karban Tzibur, and eventually the Talmidei Chachamim, the Messiah, won the debate. And it was accepted by everybody, the proper halacha of Karban Tamid. That was a big victory, that was a big simcha, and therefore they made a takana, the misbed behind. You cannot do any espedim, so it's the higher level of Yom Tov from Rosh Chodesh Nisan to the 8th day of Nisan. They were indeed, yeah. Mitamna Bay at Soif Moyada, from the 8th day until after Pesach, Itoisav Chaga Dishfuaya, they were arguing about when Shavuos was. We all know that the Baitusim held that Mimachras Shabbos, it always comes out on a Sunday. And we said, no, Mimachras Shabbos just means you start counting from the 2nd day of Yom Tov. And that was also a very big debate. And once again, the establishment won over the Baitusim. So again, they made a big Yom Tov. The misbit behind, there's no espedim, the higher level of Yom Tov, from the 8th day of Nisan until after Pesach. Omar Mar, Let's analyze this. Mereish Yarchad Nisan at Manyabei, Itoikum Tamida, and therefore the Loyal Mispit. Frek the Gemara. Lama li Mereish Yarchad. Why do we need them to extend the extra Yom Tov of Megillas Taanis to Rosh Chodesh itself? Lema Mitrei Nisan. Let them only add in the Megillas Taanis from day 2 of Nisan until day 8. For Rosh Chodesh Kuba Yom Tov. They don't have to double up on the Takana. Anyway, Rosh Chodesh, you can't fast and you can't say a spadim. So why do they need to add another layer for Rosh Chodesh? The usher anyway would be usher for Taanis and usher for Hesped. We just learned in the Halacha that the days where you can't give a Hesped, it's also even the day before. So if it was only Rosh Chodesh, then Erev Rosh Chodesh Nisan, you would be allowed to give a Hesped. They wanted to outlaw Haspedim even on Erev Rosh Chodesh Nisan. The same way it's the day before your Yom Tov, it's the day before Rosh Chodesh. So therefore, you won't be allowed to fast and to give a Spedim. So tomorrow that wouldn't work. Rosh Chodesh Deraisa. Rosh Chodesh, the Isser of Taanis and Hesped is Deraisa. When there's an Isser Deraisa, we don't need to add a day before to be Mechazim because it's a Deraisa. People respect it; they won't forget. The Tanya Hayom Ma'elak Subam Megillas Taanis Lefneim Ulacharei Masurim. But Shabbosos v'Yom Tovim Hein Asurin Lefnein Ulacharei Mutarim. What's the difference? Why by the Yom Tovim of the Rabbanon do we answer the day before as well, not by Shabbos and Yom Tov? So the Gemara Halalu Divrei Torah, it's the Brisa. These are Divrei Torah, Shabbos and Yom Tov are Midaraisa, with Divrei Torah and Yom Chizuk. Halalu Divrei Seifrim, with Divrei Seifrim Chizuk. So they extended the prohibition the day before. Dr. Gemara, Amar Mar, Mitmanya Bey at Soif Mayada. I just have a little bit shver with this halacha. Why did they make this whole din that you have to not say a husband even the day before the day in the Megillas Taanis? Because to be mechazik, so by mistake, no one should fast or nobody should make a husband on that day. But if that is also Rosh Chodesh, you don't have to worry about it. It's not going to happen anyway. Every year we start with. If every year it's Rosh Chodesh that we start with, every year Rosh Chodesh is going to be their ice. So why do we need to worry about that? But it could be that kasha is going to come out of the wash.
Maybe there's reasons why you would be able to do it because of Rosh Chodesh. Maybe Rosh Chodesh could have exceptions that this didn't have.
Okay, so that's what the Gemara is going to end up saying later. Good point. Rosh Chodesh can be a different day.
Maybe after they establish film.
Oh, so the Gemara is going to end it. Very, very good. Very good. That's exactly what the Gemara is going to get into. Amar Mar, Zok the Gemara. Mitman Yebei, from the 8th day of Nisan, at Soif Mayada, Itois of Chagad Shuaya, we got when Shavuos is, and therefore they made a Gzer to Lemispat. At Soif May. Why do we need to make the Gzer through the end of Pesach? They just have to make their Gzer that you can't fast and you can't say a heshbon up until Pesach. And the Pesach itself was a Yom Tov anyway, there's no heshbon Taanis. Why do they again need to put a second layer? Amar Papa, Kedamar Rav, Loi Nitzracha, you know why they made this Gzer? El lesser Yom Shalafanav. They wanted to answer the day before, which is the day, just like we said a moment ago. They wanted to answer Erev Rosh Chodesh Nisan. That's why they extended their Gzeir to Rosh Chodesh Nisan. They want to answer Isruchad. They want the day after Pesach to also be also the Hesped of the times. Come on. Rabbi Yosy, this would only look like Rabbi Yosy. Because on the Mishnah we learn that only Rabbi Yosy who holds that these days that are listed in the Megillas Taanis for an Isser Hesped, not only is a Hesped also the day before, but the Hesped is also the day after. That was only Rabbi Yosy. Come on, Rabbi Yosy, the Amar Bein Lefanov, Bein La'achrav also. Let's see Rashi. Let's say Shulchanov. Lachinachet Meresh Yarchad and Nisan. Why did they start answering through the Megillas Taanis already from Rosh Chodesh Nisan? Lesser Shem Shalafnei Rosh Chodesh Taanis, because they wanted Erev Rosh Chodesh, the last day of Adar, to be Asur Taanis. He did Tanya Besamach Lefnei Masur. The day before these days are Asur. Dimishum Rosh Chodesh Lo Hayaneser. If it's only because of Rosh Chodesh, they didn't need to make the Megillas Taanis on it. He did Mafarish the Torah and Shvich and Chizuk. They don't need al Rosh Chodesh. They wouldn't have asked the day before Rosh Chodesh. They wanted to ask the day before Rosh Chodesh, so they put the layer on of takana. Come on, Rabbi Yosy, the mastation. It's only according to Rabbi Yosy, who says that the Isser is the day after. Zok Rashi bitmiya. The Gemara here is asking a kasha, because how you talking that we're going to explain the Megillas Taanis only according to Rabbi Yosy, the Shavkas Karbanon. You're not going to explain the Megillas Taanis according to the Rabbanon's understanding, where there is no Gzera afterwards. Yihachi, the Libud Rabbi Yosy Mukmas law, the Megillas Taanis. If you're going to say that the Megillas Taanis only makes sense according to Rabbi Yosy, and that's why they asked it Aleph Pesach, because they wanted to ask it the day after Pesach. Well, then Chof Tes Ba'adar Nami the Kataratz Il, you answered Chof Tes Adar is also why? Because that's why they extended back the Takana to Rosh Chodesh Nisan, so that they can also answer Chof Tes Adar that the Hachi Nakat Rosh Yachad and Nisan. The reason why they extended the Takana of the Isser Taanis and the Isser Hesped to Rosh Chodesh Nisan, even though it's Rosh Chodesh anyway, Dani Yom Shloshim is to answer the day before. The Adar Samach al Nisan la'olam chaser in Chof Tes Yom. We know that the Adar that's closest to Nisan, whether there's only one Adar or the two Adars, the second Adar will always only be 29 days, and day 30 will be Rosh Chodesh. And the reason why you wanted to extend the prohibition of the Megillas Taanis to Rosh Chodesh Nisan as well is so that the day before Rosh Chodesh Nisan will be Aser. Well, Teifik the Balavachi have a Aser, Yom Chavtes. Anyway, according to Rabbi Yosy, Yom Chavtes will be Aser. The Havale Yom the Basar Chavches. According to Rabbi Yosy, anyway, the last day of Adar would be Aser B'Hesped of the Taanis, because there's another Yom Tov that we haven't mentioned yet that's on the 28th day of Adar. And according to Rabbi Yosy, the day after any one of these Yom Tovim are also Aser B'Hesped of the Taanis. And since there's going to be a Yom Tov that the Gemara is going to discuss tomorrow that happened on day 28, so Yom Tov, so therefore Aser Yom Shalom Achav Rabbi Yosy. So according to Rabbi Yosy, it's Sarik Shver, B'May Nakad Reish Yachal Eshalafan. If you want to go according to Rabbi Yosy, that the day before and the day after is Aser, that there was no reason for them to extend the Isser to Rosh Chodesh Nisan to get the day before, which is Chof Tes Adar, because Chof Tes Adar would be Aser B'Hesped of Taanis according to Rabbi Yosy because of Chof Ches, which was a real Yom Tov. Okay, that's a little bit confusing. We'll stop here. We'll pick up on this tomorrow. Shkoyach.
Good.